Hello. It's a big privilege and an honor to be here because I haven't spoken here in Ljubljana for more than 15 years since I got back to Belgrade. So it's a big honor, and also the other speakers are the really top professionals. So my honor is even bigger because of that. Will be a very serious presentation, as you can see by my tone, because it's my life and it's a serious life. It's consisted of 10 moments where I really those moments changed my life completely in not different directions. First of all, my parents were definitely too young to have a child. My mother Liliana was only 19, so I was a lucky mistake, as you can say. My father Momchilo was 20, and on this picture I'm only 3 days old. I was very cute, as a child, but that didn't bring me anywhere in my life. Actually, I very early in my life I realized that that's not enough, which is a very good sign for a designer not to be on the aesthetic side of life. Because why? My parents were, as told you, very young. They really didn't know what to do with children. So this is supposed to be fun, but for my father, for me, definitely not. And what they did when I was 3 years old, they boarded me on this plane all across the Atlantic Ocean. So it took 10 hours from Belgrade to Washington, where I was actually flying alone without parents, alone with the stewardess, and I was crying for 10 hours. So I felt like I've been kicked out of my family. And there was also an older couple that waited for me that I never saw in my life. And I thought, I'm sold to these guys. So it turned out that was my grandfather and grandmother, but I never met them because they lived and worked in Washington in Yugoslavian embassy. Actually, my grandfather Miloš was a colonel, and my grandmother Stana was major, and she was the liaison officer, cipher. In one word, grandma was a spy. So you can imagine my life. I lived with them 1.5 year in Washington, and I went to kindergarten in English, things like that. But I felt displaced completely out of my family. So that was so big impact on my life because I also came back with the same plane again alone. They stayed in America. What actually happened, that's maybe the most shocking for me, is that my place was filled with this guy who was even cuter. And that was my brother, actually, Nebojša. We called him Cocker Spaniel because he's really resembles, has this very sad face, and he had all possible illnesses that you can imagine a child can have. But now, when the time passed by, he changed his name. Nesha is his nickname, but now he's Shone. He's a street guy now, and all these illnesses. And Cocker Spaniel is not anymore the same race of dogs. He looks and lives totally differently now. He's been to prison. He's been on heroin for 4 years. He's been on and off rehab, alcoholic and stuff like that. So I'm very proud of my brother. On the other hand, he took my place. So the only way I could do something is to start creating. What we had in socialism, the younger people here really cannot imagine that. We didn't have a parental advisory at all. It was advised to watch the bloodiest movies that you can as young as you can in order to see who is the real enemy. So the partisan movies were something that aesthetically and emotionally shaped our lives. So I started drawing that. That was that was the start of my illustration, and I became an illustrator very early because I realized, okay, I can draw, so I can take attention of my parents, and very early on I realized I have to do something so people can appreciate me personally. Of course, I was wrong. That was absolutely wrong, but that's how it goes. Uh, I even wrote, like this socialist literature for kids. I studied that. I even got a couple of awards. So I was a good writer early on in my life. But the biggest, you know, thing with me was that I was drawing these caricatures of my friends and also people that I see on TV. It was thousands of that. And I did this with the ink pen, with the, I don't know the word. Uh, and all my notebooks were filled with this. And because each one of those would get a reaction from somebody that I'm showing this to. So I did this only because of the reaction. And also I liked the process, of course. I was out of this world and I got the reaction later on. And then in 81, when I was 12, I was introduced to breakdance and this hip hop culture where I really found myself absolutely, while the others were in punk and new wave and everything that was really happening. But the real underground was, especially in Serbia, that's unimaginable, is hip hop that is for black Latinos and stuff, those people from New York. But I was really into that a lot because then I draw. Of course, graffiti was in the notebooks, not on the walls. I was only 12. And my breaking name, my street name was Be Wild. And I was 12 and I had all straight A's in school and I looked like this and I was Be Wild. So that's my first, branding project that I ever did was this Be Wild personality. The next big moment in my life was joining the design high school. That was really something. It was we had to do an exam very early on in life. Like you are 15 years old and you have to pass the exams in order to get into this design high school. And this was my first drawing 7 days before the painting, let's say, before the exam. And then in that week, my life completely changed because I saw how bad I am comparing to the others who was also enrolling there. And somehow, I don't know really why, but if I want to see it, rationally, it's because my brother was already apprehended a couple of times with police, drinking, smoking pot very early. My father was an alcoholic already, so my only way out of this, I mean, that's in my head, out of this is through something that is completely different from that. My father was working at a gas station. My mother was a secretary in some government organization for youth, and we were really lower middle class, and I saw something in graphic design that can really push me out of this life. If I don't go to design high school, I will be the same as my brother and my father. That was my idea and my real push why I needed to change my trajectory. So it was so important for me to learn how to paint and to be admitted to this school that I didn't sleep for a week almost. And then at the end, I did this in 7 days, which is really absolutely abnormal. But that's because I was pushed by some higher powers, some other reasons why I did this. And I remember my father started crying. I thought, he's crying because it's the empty bottle, But he was crying. He said, "We will be rich." I don't know how that counts, but that's what really happened. And then I started very, very seriously with this profession. I was at the packaging design class, and I started working as I'm already at the academy, because that's the trajectory. You go to the design high school, and then you go to the Academy of Applied Arts, which for me was another story. So my mother was studying economy when she got me, so she never finished it. My father was studying geology. He tried his best to be the higher level educated citizen. He didn't. My brother didn't finish even the first grade of high school. And I was very, very lucky to have this design path in front of me to see not only the escape, but that I can do it for all of them. That was my deep feeling about my education and my life, actually. So when I was enrolled in this Academy of Applied Arts, that was a huge, in the whole family, not only in my primary family, but the whole, everybody that knew us, it was a big deal that I was admitted to the academy. And that something really special happened, that changed I was an illustrator, I knew how to draw, but then there was one class that a task that we got to draw an elevator, a lift, and everybody was drawing elevators, and I realized that I can push further into communication, not only skills, how can I draw it? And then I did this. And I know for all of you illustrators here, this can be done much better, of course. But it was a sketch. But that changed also my life creatively. I realized that because I started reading really early, even while I was in America, So I realized that I have this narrative mind, not only surface and aesthetics, but also deeper understanding of things. And then I went, after 4 years studying in Belgrade, I went to Sweden to study there because Yugoslavia is falling apart. My uncle is living in Sweden. So I went there and got admitted to their academy. And the main person and the main reason I stayed there for a year was this professor, Hans Christer Eriksson, who is personally like a Santa Claus. This is a very, very nice, giving personality that really helped me a lot changing. He said, you people from the Balkans, you're really, you have a lot of layers in you. I mean, that's another word for savage, but we have a lot of levels. And he said, try to whatever you do, try to communicate with us visually in our language, which is also, minimalistic language, not maximalistic like in the Balkans, but very minimalistic. So it's a big lecture that I learned there. To when I speak to someone visually, especially, I have to say it in the language that he directly understands. And I was an illustrator there. I was not bad. I had my own style already. I thought, okay. And I started working even in Sweden as an illustrator. But what happened actually is the best picture is here, illustration is that this was my logo. I'm Slavimir Stojanović. So SS and steps, success was, I have to be successful for my whole family. So that was my main goal, and my main mantra was success in life. And this is what happened actually in Sweden. I became a designer, from an illustrator, from a pencil, to this, talking with form, with the circle as a perfection, as a symbol of perfection. So stairways to perfection in a way. So what actually happened is that we got banned of studying. People from Yugoslavia, we couldn't study anymore in the Western world because of the sanctions against not my country, but Slobodan Milošević and other idiots that surrounded him. So I was a victim of that, and I couldn't finish my academy, which my family was very proud of, that I'm studying. So I got back to Belgrade, but I was so pissed, I couldn't study anymore in Serbia, because I got a fantastic job at Saatchi & Saatchi agency as a design director for the whole Balkan region, because I came now from Sweden. I had different experiences. I already started producing very attractive work. So the guy who started this Saatchi & Saatchi was Dragan Sakan. He was, he had this taste for creative people. I was one of them. I was supposed to bring him a lot of awards, which I did. In 7 years, I got more than 150 awards for that agency. And that was my role, just to produce awards. But what was absolutely fantastic there, because it was the beginning of advertising in the Balkan, especially in Belgrade, is that you are supposed to do whatever you could. You could be a like set designer, or a fashion designer, or I don't know, illustrator, designer, graphic designer, typographer, photographer. That's all that we did ourselves, because we didn't have any money to employ other people. So that was the biggest lesson that I learned in that 7 years period. But what I am mostly proud of is this magazine, New Moment, that was published by that agency. It's an art and advertising magazine, which was considering, the work of artistic artists, and also some very, very serious curators and critics of art. And so they let us do whatever we could. It was 93, 94, the years that happened, this deconstructivism from David Carson, but all looking back to the historic avant-garde of Rodchenko, and also Zenitism as a Balkan way of Dadaism. So we found the humor there. We connected also with mentally with Monty Python, because what was happening in dissolving Yugoslavia, which we really didn't, we hated that process, and we really closed ourselves into this project and survived a couple of years through working whatever we could. And this also magazine brought a couple of awards, which was a big deal, because that was impossible from that perspective of Balkan and the world, and that's what I'm proud of, and that's what actually has these influences in today's work that I do, considering typography and type design, and whatever I do today is really rooted in this Dadaism, Zenitism, and all this heritage that we actually have and own. It's also ours. It's not only like first world thing. So this is what I do now, like October Salon in Belgrade. This is from the last year's Biennale and things like that. Or I do a lot of covers for Contrast Publishing House. So I designed this Contrast typography for them, which is almost unreadable, but it has this beauty in it. So if you don't read it here, you can read it in the lower right side, and it was also awarded work. So I'm really lucky to have this kind of outlets of creativity that I can use. But what I'm really doing in advertising at that time was that I was drawing sketches for communication, finding truth in my clients, and then illustrating the truth with graphic design. That is my process. It's very hard to find the truth, the essence, not only of the brand, but also the people who are my clients and stuff like that. So it's a hard process, but once we reach to the truth, it's very easy to illustrate it and find another art direction or style in which we will do that. And those projects that I really got, like I have fame in this area because of those projects that were done in that agency. So like Waiting for Godot, or especially this Sony Walkman poster that I did. But at the same time, there was a fifth moment that changed my professional, especially life, was a design for Yugoslav Football Association. My father was, as I said, working at this gas station all of his life, but he was actually, before he made me, he was a national team player for the youth in Yugoslavia, football national. So he was very, very talented. He was a left wing and very fast. And, you see his legs are a little bit, shaped in a proper way. So I thought, okay, now he made me, I'm the guilty one. He didn't make it in the big way. So then I said, okay, Pops, I will do it. I mean, of course, I am talented, I'm not bad, but that's not my life at all. But still, while working at such and such agency, for those 7 years, I was training, not professionally, but I was playing in the second league, actively on official game matches every Sunday, and I was training every day during the week. So, I mean, that's absolutely crazy. But then I went into some altercation with another player. We got a fight. So I was kicked out of this Yugoslav Football Association. And then they called me. That was in '97, I think, exactly when I got this Sony Walkman award. And they said, they invited me to a talk. I thought it's because I kicked this guy and, I have to go to the judge or something. And they say, no, please do a redesign of this. So of course it's not hard to make something better than this, but the biggest issue here is that it's not easy to please the football guys that don't have any knowledge about design. They wanted the same thing but better. So this is an example how something that is really bad as a design can make your career, because it's a very referential job. Because everybody knows about the football association, even though we are really shitty uh, team, especially now. And then this is what I did. I mean, this is the most awful thing that I did in my life, but it made my career in in Serbia. So this is it, you know. So why are the stars for Serbia and Montenegro? We were the same country at that time. So stars of Serbia and Montenegro, you know, football. There is no football, but the flag is there. So they were like, oh, how, I mean, they were amazed, you know, like how is good I am, you know. And I was like, oh my God. And then I also got involved in this kit, you know, what they play in. And my father was very, very proud. So that was enough for me, that he's proud and that I got hundreds of projects because of that. Because people say, he's the one who did this beautiful logo for Yugoslav Football Federation. So I do a national museum, or the biggest holding in Serbia, or Hemofarm, or Sava Centar, or whatever. These are very important jobs, or the less important ones, like this Museum of Mathematics, for example. Then I came to Slovenia after the NATO bombing in '99. I came here to start new life because I was 30 at that time. It was the ideal time to start again, start over. And then because my new employees knew that I'm prone to have these awards, that I can do stuff that can bring awards. So I did that in the first couple of years. So this was the poster for Duracell Plus batteries that are very long lasting. And this plug is crying because nobody uses it anymore. Or this yellow pages for telecom. That year in 2002, I think, or 3 was the signal was becoming digital. So this is what I did. Or I did a lot of stuff for Mercedes. And so that was one side of my life. Or these are for my optician. What happens if you don't see, you know? So things like that. And I was helped with the talent of illustrator Miha Artnak. Is Miha here? Probably. No. Very talented guy. He did these illustrations. But actually, what really moved my career forward here was MR's magazine. There was a competition. I won. So I was able to, in a couple of years, establish this language for Moderna Galleria here in Ljubljana, and their magazine that goes out, I think, 4 times a year. So what I did here is that I employed typography from the local designers like Ermin Medjedović and Martin Britzelj. So I decided to do something really local, even though I'm from Belgrade, but I'm now Slovenian, you know, I live here, and I will do something that is locally powerful. So I did that for a couple of years. I was very lucky to have won the Brumen Biennale Grand Prix at the first Brumen. So that really made my career here. So it's a huge difference if a logo for a Yugoslav Football Association makes your career somewhere, or if winning the competition for MR's art magazine makes you here. It says a lot about the environment, you know. So it's different here. That's the idea, what I wanted to say. It's much, much different. And it was a playground. I could play again like I played with the New Moment magazine. And I also decided with my partner then, my friend Ivan Ilic, I did a fanzine that I printed in 700 pieces every month for a year, and send it to 700 addresses all over Europe, especially also in the States. But in order to just show off the ability to go further in the artistic world and to just put myself or my studio at that time on the world map, which we really succeeded. So it was a two-sided poster that just was designed, and you just get this and you try to understand what is the connection between the front and the back. And it's all, of course, very activist oriented, very critic and satiric to the everyday's, like problems that we all have in contemporary life. So things like this, like instant behavior, which is definitely from the media. uh, he's great, they are marvelous, we are brilliant, she's terrific. You don't see their faces, but you say this just nominally, but actually you say, I'm super. So there are a lot of people who put this on their walls. They didn't understand the irony of this, but they say, I'm super, so I'll put this on my wall. So, everybody perceives art differently. That's why art serves for. That's the purpose of art. So after 12 of these issues, I was really very proud, of course, when we put ourselves on the map. And I also did a couple of very important global brands that are from here, like Slovenian Alps or Akrapovic. And I worked at the same time in Slovenia and Belgrade, so this was the poster showing how hard we work on both of the markets. Then number 7 was Alliance Graphique Internationale. I don't know if anyone knows about it. It's very closed competition community of designers, very elitist. But for me, because I was driven by success, I thought that's the most important thing in life, is to be successful. As I said, not only for myself, but for my mother, father, brother. And I thought, okay, this is the possibility. If I become a member of this, I'm on top of the world. Silly, I know, but that's how my mind worked then. And in 2003, I was nominated to become a member. It's very hard to become a member there. Only the 1 or 2 people are admitted every year. As I said, very elitist, like a designer's blue blood. And I thought, okay, finally I'll have my real family, because these guys kicked me to America, to this older, weird couple in Washington. My mind worked very strangely. And I was everywhere in this, in the graphic design world. I was in all of these magazines. I got all of the awards that you can imagine, and I thought, okay, I'm ready to become a member there. And I went to Helsinki, and at the final, it was a conference there. At the final day of the conference, they announced who is the new member. So they say that there is this some older Italian woman as a honorary member, and then he started talking. This conference guy, he starts saying, my life. He said his works are in this museum, in that. How many awards? Which awards? He's talking about me, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen," and I'm standing up like this, and he said he pronounces some other guy's name, some black guy from from South Africa, who passes me by. I'm frozen. I cannot sit. I cannot stand up. My life is ended. Absolutely end of my life. I died at that moment. That version of myself died at that moment. I went to hotel straight. I lay down for 3 or 4 days, and I couldn't go out of hotel. I ended my life because success was not possible for me in a way that I thought that it should be. So I said, what happens now? After 4 days of lying down, there comes the 5th day. So you have to really, you get up and pick yourself up and go other way. On the other hand, I realized that I'm very empty emotionally inside. I was not happy at all because I was so driven by success that I forgot to love, to care about other people. I know that this sounds very banal and prosaic, but that's what really happened to me. So I thought, okay, maybe I will try to, do a market research, which I did for 40 years. Actually, I tried to find the right person who will, be my counterpart in my life. So after these 40 years of really, really hard market research, I finally, I was very lucky to find my Olja, who was, he knew how to dance with me, which is very hard because I know how to dance and she knows how to dance. So it's hard to find. That's the first rule with me. I'm very hard in this. and she's really beautiful. She actually, what I learned with her is that I have to change the narrative in my life. I have to change the mantra from success to help, because she's the helping person herself. So I learned that from her, and picked up from there. We were very lucky because we immediately we got a child, Nadia, our daughter. She looks really like me. She's very resembling her father, and she wanted me to tell her every night, to tell her different story for the good night. That was my role in her whole of her childhood until the primary school. So I started telling her stories about this girl, imaginary girl, whose name was Singilumba, and then we made these adventures of Singilumba. We made it up. We talked about it every night. She also had some ideas what Singilumba should do. She should every time help other people. This narrative that I learned from my wife, and then she said one day, she says, "Can you draw me this Singilumba?" I said, "Honey, father forgot how to draw. I was an illustrator 25 years ago. I can make you a logo. You you can have a business card in the kindergarten. It's very useful." And she said, "No. My Olja, my wife, she said she showed me your drawings when you were younger." And then I said, "Okay, Olja, I'll kill you now, because I have to now draw again, which I forgot. I was drawing these illustrations for logos, So I draw this, and she said, "No, you can do it 10 times better." So next 6 months, because then she forgot about it. And then I said, "Okay, I have 6 months to try to find, stylization, to try to learn how to draw again, and to make this small booklet to put her under the pillow, so she wakes up in the morning on her birthday and she gets overjoyed." That was my idea. So what I really did, I started drawing, but it looks like this socialist, like Lolek and Bolek, things like this. And she wasn't cute. This was supposed to be my kid, because Singilumba is actually Nadia. And it was really hard process. I really couldn't find the stylization. She wasn't cute enough. She was too stiff. And she has this friend of hers in the stories, Filippo Bibi. They go together and change the world in a way that she's talented for drawing and he's talented for illustration, for music, sorry. So when she draws something, she plays this instrument, looking at her drawings, inspired by them, as the notes, like musical notes, and then the magic happens. So two different talents combined together make the world better, of course. And I really did this, and I illustrated the whole book, actually. This is Singilumba at the end, which is okay. That's the best I could do with design tools that I can control. And I really made the whole book. And then I printed it at the photocopy center, like in color, bind it together and put it under the pillow. And of course, she was absolutely overjoyed, jumping on our bed and everything. It was one of the best days of my life. But what happened actually is that some people from the publishing house, Laguna in Belgrade, saw this and decided to make it a real book. So in one moment, I was a prolific, award-winning graphic designer, and on the other hand, I was author of a children's book, which is sold several times over, and it became a real hit in Serbia. Kids are drawing this. I go around Serbia and make these classes of drawings with the, somebody knows Branko Kockica, who he is, but that's what I'm doing now. And, and And also, this is the day when I thought, okay, I was born for this day, because we got an award for the best children's book at the Belgrade uh, book fair. And, my child was an inspiration for this. I didn't put her in the fucking plane to go to Washington for 10 hours and cry. So that was my purpose in life. That's what I thought at that moment. And then I draw another two of those. And what happened, as it happens, these guys from Malo Pozorište, the small theater in Belgrade, the biggest and the most important one, invited me to redesign their logo. But when they saw these three books, they say, would you agree to do with us together the theater play? I am a graphic designer, and suddenly I'm just becoming a theater writer now. So the whole play was done, and it was a best-selling play, and it plays still there in their program. So the day when we went to the rehearsal with actors to hear them, there was Olja, Nadia, and me. So we were sitting there, and they start saying words that I was saying to my child for sleep, for a good night's sleep. So we were crying like horizontally, like this. You see them absolutely moved, those people, very talented people, and us three crying in the corner of the room. That's, I couldn't be more happy. And this cannot be compared to any graphic design project, unfortunately. This is from the deep soul of a child from that plane, actually. And with Singilumba, what happened, Nadia became a national champion in contemporary dance with her group RIS, Rhythm and Style. And they became European champions next year. And 2 years ago, they became a world champions. So I have a world champion at home. And she finally looks like her mother. Yeah, right? Things like that. And then I went to France to have an exhibition. But because I was so pissed because I didn't make it to this, this organization, Alliance Graphique Internationale, I became very ironic. So I started doing this irony-driven satiric stuff, like the whole world is against me, so I'll give it back to them, like whatever. So I made things like this, like two screws are talking, like, it's easy for you, you're a true team player. The other one says, yeah, but you have charisma. Or two of those are saying, are you an idiot? The other one says, fantastic. Or salt and pepper are talking, I think you lost your edge. And the pepper says, I think you're wrong. Or two egg yolks in one egg says, we are never getting out of here. The other one says, no, why? Or two little bears says, I will never trust you again. And the other one says, me neither. And things like that. And that exhibition was almost sold completely. So I thought, okay, maybe I can be a visual artist also now. And, I produced this sculpture also. It's not the real guy, it's a polyester sculpture, together with my friends, the sculptors that helped me with this. And I had this almost evil, that was doing like this. And I had an exhibition in Belgrade. That same exhibition moved to Belgrade. I called it, You're an Idiot, Please Act Accordingly. And the poster for the exhibition was just very near to the National Assembly. It stayed there for 3 months after the show. Nobody cared, because they know. And I started it with my own auto-portrait, self-portrait in the real dimensions. Like I really suffered making this one. And I made this also chair where you have, she said, I love you. I said, good luck on this side. It's also autobiographical from the years of the market research. And then an old woman in Novi Sad, because this exhibition went all over Serbia, she gave me this, and I said, okay, this is the pinnacle of my artistic career. I can eat from this art, So inspired with this, experience of having this experience of artistic output, I realized I should make my own brand, and try to make it accessible to the wider audience, because art is expensive. It's not for everyone, but my art and my artistic output is for more than just collectors. So I decided to make a brand, lifestyle brand, where I can put it on the functional pieces of life, whatever I have to say. So Futuro is short for future and retro, living in this moment, today. Futuro is today, between future and past. Our mantra is complicate simply, and so I can, because it's mine, I can do it whatever I can. Since I'm using Futuro products, my life is wonderful and my hair became more dense. So some crazy things that I can apply. Or I left my brain at home today. It's much easier at work now, and I met some really smart people. And, things like that. I will lie again. Only girls bought this hat. I really don't know why, but we never sold this hat to a guy. These are my girls. And so I made this, the whole, like a frontal output for people who can really appreciate this and understand this. So I was very lucky to have 3 different places where I can sell this in 3 different venues in Belgrade, and also on the website, futuroworld.com. But we have a lot of things that are, posters. We are selling posters as well, the same amount as we are selling these T-shirts and stuff like that. So we have this sky is the limit, Mars is too far, and we have a portrait of the sun from behind, one of the best sellers. These are the new ones that I didn't put out yet. I think can be cool. And this one for the OCD, us, it's a medicine for the OCD people. And number 9 is my diploma that I finally, after 30 years of studying, I finally enrolled again at the academy and decided to finish it once for all, because my child was going to school, and I realized that I'm not a good role model if I didn't finish what I dreamt of. And what actually happened, that I first got the award, Lifetime Achievement Award, and then 2 weeks later, I finished the academy from the same, area of expertise, which was ridiculous. And then I put that on Facebook. It's heartbreaking because, that information was filled with emotions towards my parents and, things like that. So if anyone wants to read it and can read Serbian, just type Slavimir Fakultet in Google, it will come out. It was viral, like 60,000 people liked it on Facebook in 2017. So then I became a professor after that. And I did a magazine for design students called Plima, which means tide. So every year there's a new tide of new talents. And I wrote my own autobiographical book called 9, because I fell down on my head when I was 9 years old and forgot everything that I ever knew. I didn't know what was my name. So that book became a bestseller because it's about getting your memory back, your life back and everything. But actually it happened when I was 9, but 30 years later, in the same day, my mother died and my daughter was born. So that was so big shock that I started remembering. So I'm turning 9 again together with my daughter, living her life through her eyes and remembering my childhood. So it's a very funny book. I mean, there are a lot of humor there, but it has a deep reality in it. So I invited 47 different illustrators to illustrate the book from the whole region here. A lot of people from here also. And I, again, finally put together the Yugoslavia that I really loved always. And I was very proud because they participated, all of them. And after that, this year I made this book called Merino Tiger with 100 posters, my Futuro posters, and 100 stories inspired by those Futuro posters. From the left side, there is a story. I have only one page to write the story. And in 100 days, every day I write one story. So it's been printed in 1,000 copies, signed, numbered, everything. And then I also, it's published now, it's a second edition, so I'm very proud of that. And number 10 is in Amsterdam. I was there just a month ago. That was like a crown of my career in a way, because there is this author from the Netherlands called Jitske Kramer. She's a sociologist, and she wrote a book about liminality, the space between today and tomorrow, which is actually futuro from my perspective, but from her perspective, that's this messy middle where we are now. You know, like we are not certain about the future at all. Our past is now foggier and foggier because of the everything, you know, the communications, the media and everything. So the future, how to go to future, how to pass this uncertainty and fear and not knowing what to do. The book is about that. It's called Tricky Times, and she invited me to design the book and the illustrations there. And I was very lucky to be invited there to enjoy the publication of because the book became bestseller there, and it's printed now in English, and they invited me to become their, you know, like a guest of honor there. So I felt like I'm finally, you know, with my real family, people who think like me, who dream like me also. So I was very, very lucky. So this is how to move towards future. You have to really transform yourself. And this is the cover. She actually came to me because she was in one of my stores, and she bought a couple of things there for her husband, and she was liking the humor, and she wanted that, you know. So it worked out at the end, you know, in a way, because that was my idea, to find people who can appreciate and understand this special level of creativity that I can achieve, and to employ me as an author, not as a, you know, just as somebody who can give form to something. And I did a couple of illustrations there. So as I said, very, very proud. There was 500 people there. I was invited to stage. It was a fantastic feeling, you know, like belonging, you know, somewhere. And she's also very, very lovely and caring, almost like my wife, you know. She's the same energy, you know, like very tender. Now I'm writing another book called Poster Culture, where I have 100 posters that I designed for market, but cultural market, you know, explained each one of them, how it came to be, and also the Logo Logic book, which comes out this November, where I also explain hundreds of, you know, like more than 300, 400 pages, you know, and more than 300 examples, like the one I did for porcelain films, you know, like a production company. I took porcelain as a, you know, like a fragile, you know, like you can break it. And film, what the film does, was the truth of the film is to record the event. So that's the truth. And the truth of the porcelain, that is delicate and fragile. So I then decided to break this and to make a monogram. I just took the letter P and broke it, and there is also letter F. So things like this are in that book. And B. Wild called me again, you know, on the phone. He said it's time to make a rap album. So that's what I actually did. I made an album. So it's not normal. It's very bad. It's not a high quality rap, but it's the same reason why I did this is because the dog licks his balls, you know. I can do it. So, so now I'm pushing the boundaries of my creative self. And I made the first spot, you know, TV video, and I have 12 songs. Each one is better than the previous one, of course. And then they say, my friends from the rap industry say that in 30, 40 years, I will kill it. So, and all of that because of the bloody plane, you know. So thank you very much. Aha.
Bomo si vzeli mogoče par minut, predno gremo na naslednje predavanje, mogoče imamo časa lih, tako da not porinemo eno ali dva vprašanja, tako da če slučajno ima kdo kakšno vprašanje, dvigne roko, jaz prenesem mikrofon.
Zakaj pa ne?
Kdorkoli? Pa vam jaz hitro. Torej ostane samo še eno.
In English or in Slovenian?
In English. So, if you could actually go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
I would like to be born somewhere else.
Like where?
In New York.
Fair enough.
That's the only thing. The other one, there are a lot of other things, but this is the real truth. I think I would be even more productive somewhere else. Here I have a lot of obstacles to, I would make my rap album sooner. So the quality will be much better now.
So you really don't like Washington?
No, I really didn't. It was awful there.
Okay, so don't be shy. One more question. Well,
yes?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember you. Hi.
Listen, I don't want to think about purpose because it's art.
Yeah.
You said Amsterdam, Netherlands, but it is the Netherlands.
It was the fault.
It was a fault. You
I'm
can
a
do it
faulty
very
guy.
easily because the first word are 3 letters and D are 3 letters. There you go.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks. Well, Slavimir, hvala ti veliko. Mi bomo v vsakem primeru še nekaj časa tu. Imamo še 2 gosta, ampak Slavimir bo z nami danes in še jutri.
Ja.
Tako da bomo imeli še priložnost kakšno povedati. Bar je palno naprej. Vidim, da se navijači javljajo v zadnjih vrsticah. Tako da, Slavimir, hvala ti še enkrat, da si prišel.
Enako.
Še en aplavz, prosim.
Hvala.